All right, and we're live. So we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Pow Group, and we're just going to give it a few minutes here for people to join us. Today is a daily market recap for Friday, February 26th, and I hope everyone is doing great. We're going to do a deep dive today, and we're going to be discussing whether or not we should buy the dip in cannabis stocks, and we'll review the CRON earnings. And we'll go into a deep dive on the overall broader market, and we'll do a quick check-in on the crypto space as well. So just give it a few minutes and we'll get started here. All right, welcome everybody. We're going to get started here in about 35 seconds. Welcome. Well, it's Friday. We made it, and I'm doing well. Hope everyone else is having an awesome week, and it's been a lot of red the last couple of days. So I know everybody's probably excited to get off the computer. I know I am. So we'll review this as quickly as we can, but I want to make sure. I know a lot of people are probably wondering about the close today and their positions and what to expect for next week. So coming on here to check in with you guys. So like I said, we'll get started here in just a few seconds. All right, so we're going to get started. So welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap. Today is Friday, February 26th. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing CRON earnings. We'll look at the overall news and events, and we'll look at some overall broader markets. So before we jump into today's content, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. And first on the list, we have the House set to approve Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package. And then they got to send it to the Senate for approval. So I said earlier on in my previous videos this week that I expected markets to basically just bounce around, but ultimately melt up into Friday. And yesterday we saw a significant sell-off and just an equilibrium on most names. So we'll see if there's any update on that this weekend. More than likely will be. And we held some key supports on the weekly supports on SPY and QQQ, so we'll look at that here as well. But Cronos Group reports Q4 revenue increase 133% to 17 million with adjusted EBITDA loss of 53 million. So I think it improved very, very slightly from a year ago. See here, yeah, increased by 1.5 million. So yeah, so not by much, but a slight increase. So they came in with a revenue beat, but they missed on EPS. So they came in at, the consensus was negative 0.0751. It came in at negative 0.31, and revenues were estimated at 13.3 million and came in just over 17 million. So looks like we have a huge increase in revenue, but EPS definitely a little concerning and weighed on the market today. And obviously SPY being weak didn't help the cannabis sectors. So Namaste Technologies also announces Canmart.com is live in the USA. So we'll see if we get any momentum in that stock. Crypto is selling off here, and if you've been tuned into this channel for a while now, I've been saying that the markets are correlated to crypto, and we need to be cautious today when we had some weakness in crypto, and it's just like clockwork. You check over at Tesla and SPY, and they're following as well. So Not surprising that we sold off into the end of the day on SPY based on this crypto weakness. So again, these correlations are there. They won't always be there, but we'll monitor it until it no longer works. But there's no major red flags right now. We're just weekly consolidation, so we're still in weekly uptrends on most crypto. And we knew it was coming eventually. So there's potentially people buying the dip here, looking for weekly consolidation. But at this point, we're still healthy on the weekly chart. But we are seeing some weakness in Bitcoin. We're definitely seeing some short-term weakness and causes for concern. So just make sure you remain protective. Like I said, if we start to see Bitcoin top out here and weakness over the weekend, we could see weakness in Tesla. Tesla was very, very weak today. And we'll take a look at some other broader markets. SPY. So today was, if you were trading today, it was a chop fest. And personally, I've been sitting on my hands a lot of the time today. I did make a BlackBerry trade today. I'll go over that in a bit, but you can see that we're getting volatility again, and trading right now is just very, very difficult. Excuse me. So if you're not an experienced trader, then I would highly encourage that you just, sit on your hands and wait and see. Hopefully you de-risked into the weekend this week, because we're going to go over some charts here. And this was the monthly candle close and the weekly candle close. So we are consolidating on the weekly. We have key support coming into play at 368.27 on SPY. We are holding the EMA 12 support. So if we do consolidate further into next week, then we'll be looking at 368.27 as a potential support zone, and then EMA 26 down at 362.81. But let's take a look at the monthly chart. So the monthly chart candle closed today, and we finished with an upper wick. And you can see that it could be a bit of a reversal there, and the weakness into QQQ into the end of the day. We ended up finishing the month red. We didn't break the low of the previous month, but we do have an upper wick, and we are red on the month. So we'll see the low of this month. So 310.88 is going to be crucial going into Monday and into March. If we lose that level, then monthly consolidation is underway, which is going to be the first time since back in September. And then after that, we have nothing down here until 164. So it's time to start being cautious. We were outside of the Bollinger Band here on the monthly as well, and we're pulling back. So just be cautious. Nothing goes up forever. We've been telling the public in our group for a long time that big tech is very, very bearish. We saw an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross today, and huge volume. That's the kicker. And SPY has yet to see its 12 and 26 bear cross, and QQQ led the market on the way up. Now it's leading it on the way down. We're seeing SPY acting as a lagging indicator to QQQ. So it lost its 50-day moving average, and then SPY lost its 50-day moving average. And we're seeing that as a bit of a laggard. So we're seeing crypto move in a certain direction, and then Tesla very correlated to Bitcoin. So then we see Tesla move that same direction, and then we see SPY and QQQ follow along. So that's the correlation right now that we need to be watching. And like I said, that volume is for real here on SPY. And we'll want to see increasing bear volume going into next week to be confident in the bears. But the bears are starting to prove themselves, and we're still in a daily downtrend at this point. So SPY, very, very weak. Again, holding EMA 12, but we're teetering here. I just want to bring us up. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a deep dive, and I'll put some descriptions in the comments below after the live stream. But we did close right on the 10-week moving average. So we had it 380.35. We closed at 380.36, making things interesting. But we do have the stochastic and the MACD crossing bearish as well. So... and again, QQQ has been a leading indicator. So QQQ lost its 10-week moving average. It closed well below at 314.14. 10-week moving average was up at 320.71. And the MACD and stochastic are extremely bearish. And the reason for that is the weakness in Tesla. Tesla is now part of the S&P 500 and a big part of the QQQ, the tech sector. Look at how weak that is. Look at the MACD and stochastic trending lower in a hurry. Apple, another reason. Trending lower in a hurry, and we close well below the 10-week. So it's time to be cautious on big tech, like we've been saying all along. And SPY doesn't have any weekly support on the moving averages, down to 330. QQQ closer, I believe, down at 268. So this is what I want to show you. QQQ, when it lost the 50 back here in October, we hit the 100 and we bounced and never looked back. The difference is this time is we lost the 50, and we might, if we confirm resistance here and then we drop below the 100, that is going to be huge. And we also have weekly support coming into play. So if we lose 300 and 305, we could enter a little bit of free fall here, and we don't have anything on the 200-day moving average down to 281. So, and again, this could be, when we close below the 50-day moving average, this could be a clue and some insight into potentially SPY doing the same thing, seeing its EMA 26 and 12 bear cross. And if we end up losing the 50 next week, we could be doing what QQQ is already on the verge of doing, and that could be testing the 100-day moving average. Again, this isn't financial advice, it's just for entertainment and educational purposes only, but it's very, very possible that we had to head to 360 or 370 on SPY. I know it didn't seem like it was very possible a couple of days ago when we were up at 392 and 1% away from all-time high, but closing near the low of the day and with the weakness in QQQ at 380, 370, and 365 doesn't seem too far away at this time. And that's just how quickly things can change. So we are very, very bearish on these indicators, and I personally swung quite a bit of SPY short and some QQQ short into the weekend. I'm majority cash and then majority short QQQ and SPY. And then I have my long positions mostly in crypto, blockchain names, and the MJ space. And we're going to go over the MJ space here in just a moment, and we'll talk about whether or not now is the time to buy the dip. There's rumors that we could be seeing the Safe Banking Act passed next month. So buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. So the dollar has got my attention. I've been highlighting this for a while as well. So we are holding, we are now closed. It looks like it says market open, but it's weird. We're moving on the 5-minute. I think so it says an hour and 50 minutes left of this daily candle, but we're getting extremely interesting on the dollar index on DXY and going into next week. So SPY essentially, might be a falling knife is right. So SPY, we're looking for the exact opposite. So SPY is looking to hold weekly support and maintain the weekly uptrend, while the dollar is looking to form a weekly higher low and change to a weekly uptrend. So SPY is fighting off losing the uptrend, and DXY is fighting to try to gain an uptrend on the weekly. So if we look at the chart here back in March, so a year ago after the dump, we were in a weekly downtrend, and we've been in a clear weekly downtrend ever since. So now we have support at 89.20. We also have monthly support down at 88.25. So this could be, and this is the monthly candle close on the dollar as well. And we had a green month. Like I said, we have 88.25 support. And then on the weekly, we had that 89.20. And now we're trying to form this higher low. Could this be our higher low here? That just formed at 89.68. It's entirely possible. Now bulls have to break through 91.60 or else they prove absolutely nothing. So right now, the most important charts for me are SPY, but crypto, Tesla, that correlation to SPY and QQQ. So I'll be watching. Can't tell you how many times it's saved me in a trade in the past week or so, watching crypto and Tesla and then seeing that translate into SPY weakness or SPY strength or QQQ weakness or strength. And then it helps me with my individual stock pick. Like today, BlackBerry held $10. I'll go over that in a moment. And when SPY started to finally bounce, that's when I entered BlackBerry with a stop under 10 and made an awesome day trade. I'll go over that in a minute, but that's the most important things that I'm watching right now. And right now, the dollar, if we break that weekly uptrend and confirm it, that's the first time since all the way back a year ago from that massive dump that we had in the stock market. So that would catch my attention, and you better believe that that's going to be on a lot of people's attention. Also, oil, very, very important for me as well. It's been saving the market during this tech weakness, and tech led the way up all year long. And now it might be heading down and leading the market down. And US oil has been stepping up, and the XLE, the energy sector, and ETF has been very, very strong. But we saw weakness in it today, and that's why we saw even more weakness in SPY in the S&P 500 and overall broader market. And look where we closed the candle. This is all the way back to all-time highs on US oil. We've never closed above a candle above this resistance line in the history of its trading, and we just closed below it. We do have an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross lining up, but it's not looking good as we closed underneath of that, and we could start to see weakness. And that could translate into even more weakness in the broader market if tech remains weak, which it looks like it will. So gold, monthly doesn't look good. Silver, monthly doesn't look good. Sorry, that was the opposite way around. So silver, better than gold, but gold, so I've been calling this out since the summer, and I know there's quite a few lines here. I'll just get rid of this line here so that it makes, there we go. So the yellow line here is the monthly uptrend that we had on gold. So we lost that monthly uptrend line, which was notable. Then we had this descending triangle here on the weekly. And if you take the measured move of that triangle, it takes us right here to 1670, which just happens to be the last weekly high or low support. So we saw a breakout and then a fake out. So we changed the weekly trend and broke bullish out of that descending triangle, which is a bearish pattern, which usually means we're going to go down most, percentage of the time. And we broke out to a higher high, straight into a new lower low. That was a major red flag, but look where we bounced, right on the monthly uptrend line. Perfect technical analysis follow through. And then look where we topped out, just before resistance, straight into a lower low. We had the red flag here. We head to the double top, and as if that wasn't enough, straight into a new lower low. And guess where we're heading? To this descending triangle measured move that was calculated from back here in August. And I've been highlighting this. It's still on my chart. And here we are getting close to 1670. So I scaled into some gold today and looking for some gold exposure. I also jumped into silver, looking for a weekly high or low, holding EMA 12. And silver, as we know, has been stronger than gold, relatively speaking, in the last few months. So that's where we stand. Let's just take a look at some of our other sectors. So I'm going to jump through these a little faster. So SMH was up over 2% today, which was notable. And holding its EMAs, how does it look on the monthly? So seeing upper wicks. So let's just take a look at all of our other sectors real quick on the monthly. IWM, upper wick, hasn't consolidated, and like that is insane, that move from March of last year. We're up over 140% on the Russell. I was talking about this today in to people in the group for private members, and I just want to talk about it real quick while I think of it. So look at how quickly we doubled on SPY. We essentially ran 90% on SPY in about a year, so 365 days. And then the last time it took us to run 100%, from 67 to like 130, it took like 700, 800 days. So almost, like double. And then that's just unheard of. So yes, what does that mean? We can run as fast, we can run fast, but we can also fall fast. And if we look at this megaphone pattern here, I know we got a lot of lines under there from the smaller time frames, but take a look at that megaphone that's been forming. And yes, we dropped 30% and it was a huge drop, but we did the same thing back in 2018 and we had a 20% drop and the world wasn't ending like it was in March of last year. So we need to just be aware that there's these pullbacks, and even when there's not, huge news of the world ending, we can still pull back 20% and volatility is picking up. So just be cautious when we start monthly consolidation. You could be surprised how quickly this would fall. Again, this isn't a buy or sell recommendation, but it's time to start being cautious. So moving on, let's take a look at the rest here. So TAN, the solar sector, that's monthly consolidation. So first time we've seen real monthly consolidation since all the way down to 21. That is a bit scary. XBI, biotech sector, that's a pretty bearish reversal candle there on the monthly, if you ask me. XHB, home builders, XLE, so again, energy sector closed pretty strong over EMA 26 on the monthly. And that's the first time we've got over EMA 26 since all the way back in November of 18. So that is very notable. And we are now in a monthly uptrend with the low, high, higher low, and higher high, but we're pulling back, need to see follow through into next month. XLF, so upper wick and coming back down, but broke to a new high, all-time high, but we're ultimately closing back closer to previous all-time highs, and we could be seeing a bit of a reversal there as well. So healthcare sector, monthly inside bar on watch, and we'll see if we get monthly consolidation there as well. So if you are joining now, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. It shows me some support. Obviously, we're about 22 minutes in, so I've already covered quite a bit, but you can refresh the video or rewind, and I'll also do timestamps at the end as well. So we're seeing a lot of weakness in the broader market. So let's take a look at some individual tickers. So I want to bring up BlackBerry before I forget. So I had a day trade today that worked out extremely well. And just look at BlackBerry here on the 5-minute. And then yesterday we dipped below $10 a couple of times. And I had a couple day trades. You can check my video out from yesterday, my daily market recap for that. But today, what level stands out to you here? And it should be $10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So that wasn't enough to go off of, though, to be confident in entering. So then I was looking at SPY, and SPY had already lost 380.20 support, and it already lost a couple of key levels, actually. And BlackBerry saw a huge pullback at the beginning of the morning, but it held $10 from the low of pre-market. Nice round psychological number as well. And it bounced. And then when SPY lost its second support the second time, we still held $10. And then SPY started to bounce after it held 378. We had support at 377. And at 378, it started to bounce. So I entered BlackBerry. I said, okay, if we didn't lose support the first time or the second time, we didn't lose the low of pre-market at $10. And SPY is finally getting its bounce on. And we were getting extreme on SPY. I entered at about 10.04 or 10.03, I think it was, on BlackBerry. And my target was the EMAs. I ended up exiting around I think it was 10.34 or 10.35, somewhere around that level, and made about 3%. And I had about, I think 800 or 1,000 shares. So again, when you're day trading, you can see some significant profits from a 20 cent or a 40 cent move. For me, I had a multi-day maker, for profits in that single trade. So I pretty much sat on my hands for the rest of the day. I had a couple shorts on SPY that played out well as well. And took a couple more positions in some MJ names, which I'll go over here in a minute. But that was an awesome trade. And then I said to the group in the private member group that there was another entry here on a 5-minute higher low. We formed that higher low at 10.24. We double topped here at 10.39, and then we held this double bottom. We hit 10.27. So if you would have entered with a stop below 10.24, you could have entered here at 10.27 and you would have saw another decent 15-20 cent bounce. And then we just faded with SPY. We were weak, but we never lost that $10. So $10 has been very, very strong. And we know BlackBerry is going to bounce like a son of a gun once the bounce really gets going. But we did break the low of yesterday, and we do have support here at 963. And previous resistance was 969 on that Amazon news. So old resistance could become new support. Looks like it is forming a nice base there. So that'll be on watch again into next week. But we need to break the high of today on Monday to get that daily bounce underway. And we need to change the hourly trend, and SPY and QQQ and the overall broader market are going to be extremely important as well. So on the bear list, we had Space, NKLA, VEGA. On the bull list, we had ABNB, CDAY, and MU. And I saw a cool article about Airbnb getting into remote work accommodations to capitalize on that, because it's been hurting their business, their business travel model. So that was pretty cool. Up over 13% today. So congrats to the bulls there. So Apple closed at 121. So again, very, very bearish. Let's take a look at the monthly close. So monthly consolidation underway. Yikes. This could get interesting here. Tesla monthly consolidation underway. No support on Tesla on the monthly until, I don't think you want to hear it, 70. No monthly support and higher low until $70. You have the EMAs here. So EMA 12 sitting at 471 and 26 at 311. But in terms of higher lows and price action, this could be the bubble bursting. And again, it might not be either. We're bouncing here off of EMA 26 on the weekly to the penny. Like, that was perfect. And we could potentially set a weekly lower high. That might be the most likely scenario into this stimulus passing. So maybe we bounce and we form a weekly lower high and then a weekly downtrend. And then we break out of this bubble. Who knows when it ends? We could keep going for another 6 months, a year, 2 years, a week, who knows? But until we see what we need to see, and that's either a loss of the weekly uptrend or a confirmed weekly downtrend, but we're certainly not looking great here on the monthly. Let's take a look at BlackBerry on the monthly. So we're seeing some inside bar and a huge range that is just massive. So yeah, we're going to expect a pretty massive bounce on BlackBerry once it happens. It's just how long are we going to drift and how low are we going to go before that happens? And the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So this could drag on a lot longer than you think, and it can always go a lot longer, a lot lower than you think. So let's take a look at some MJ. So as the title of the video suggests, we're going to talk about whether or not we should be buying the dip. So I heard some rumors that the Safe Banking Act could get a vote next month. So we could see some hype leading up to that. And like I said, if we see the markets potentially bounce on stimulus news, we could see something this weekend or early next week. Then we could set temporary bottoms. And if we see anything about SAFE Act passing next month, that could be a huge catalyst for the US sector. And I suspect the Canadian sector will get a decent boost just off of that hype as well, because of access to major exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. And until we see the US MSOs uplist, we're going to be focusing on Canadian companies because they have access to that capital and that institutional interest that can't necessarily invest in MSOs because they're OTC or on Canadian exchanges. So we need to be cognizant of that and remind ourselves of that until that no longer remains the case. And that, in my opinion, will remain the case until they are fully uplisted and we start to watch the volume move and shift from the US sector to the American sector, so that from the Canadian to the US. So how do we know when that happens? Well, we just simply look at the daily volume traded on CGC. If that's tapering off while volume in TrueLeave and other leading MSOs is gaining, then we'll start to suspect that that money, once it's uplisted on major exchanges, is starting to shift. And then we'll focus more on the US stocks. But if you're looking for growth, the US could see more upside in the long term, but on any news releases or anything like that, we usually see Canadian cannabis spike more in a single session or in a single move, and that's just because it has access to that capital. So CGC, weekly consolidation, daily downtrend. And we had a couple of inside bars that rejected at EMA 26, broke bearish, and now we're consolidating on the daily. The best thing that the bulls are hoping for here is a higher low compared to 31.45, and then we'll try to break resistance up at 36.39 and confirm a daily uptrend. If we can confirm that, then the weekly higher low is set. But we did close below EMA 12, so that could imply that we're heading down to EMA 26, which is down around the 28.55, and we also have a higher low here at 24.05. So we could very well see more weakness. Personally, I'm buying the dip, but I'm scaling in, so I'm not going heavy. Based on how SPY week has been weak, crypto's been weak, Tesla, tech has been weak, and we know that when Canadian MJ ran to all-time highs in 2018, SPY was at all-time highs. SPY is weak right now, and we're seeing US MJ is weak even though it's leading into legalization. So again, we need to see those tailwinds instead of headwinds, and that might shift here soon. SPY could very well head back to all-time highs, but if we're buying the dip in cannabis stocks, we need to be tracking SPY, we need to be tracking the broader market, and in my opinion, the crypto market, because crypto and Tesla are very correlated, and Tesla is a big part of the S&P now, and it's obviously moving markets. So CGC on the monthly, that does not look good whatsoever. We did have the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross, so it's up in the air at this point. Again, I'm just scaling in, not trying to be a hero and nail the bottom. I took profit in Hexo a long time ago, and I've been averaging into that. That's my main horse right now. They have earnings coming up at the end of March, so that's going to be extremely important. So it says March 31st here, but we want to see official confirmation from Hexo Corp on that. Cannabis also has earnings this month. I think High Tide does as well, and TerraSen Corp. But APHA, that's a pretty nasty reversal there on the monthly, and Tilray as well. Closed back underneath EMA 26. APHA, clearly the lead bull though. See, still well above its monthly EMAs here. So just be cautious buying the dip right now in cannabis. To answer the question, yes, I am buying the dip, but I'm being very selective on entries, where I enter, the amount of dollars I use to enter, and I'm just slowly scaling in. And like I said, potential that SAFE Act could get passed tomorrow. That's the rumor that's floating around. So CRON today, off the back of its earnings, lost the low of yesterday, but we have higher low support here at 10.10, and $10 psychological is going to be an extremely important level. But we are pulling back. We could see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross as well. But best case for bulls is they form a higher low and then break above this resistance here into a higher high, confirm a daily uptrend, and then set those weekly higher lows. But CRON holding EMA 12, so CGC notably weak compared to its peers, and that's likely due to the $2 billion prospectus filing for the base shelf prospectus, which gives them the ability to, doesn't mean they're going to, but it gives them the ability to fund up to $2 billion worth of securities. So people speculating that that could add dilution. Also, their cash position, they're burning through a lot of cash. We saw that they were over $1 billion and then under $1 billion their last earnings report. So they are in trouble, it looks like. So we'll move on to the US sector here. So on the bull list, we had KBEV, MMEN, and CXXI. On the bear list, we had BMMJ, TerraSend, MJNA on the bear list. So we'll take a look at MSOS. I took a position on this as well today on this weekly consolidation. Again, if we see Safe Banking Act pass next month or some rhetoric around that, that potentially happening, then we could see some huge gains in the short term leading up into that. But you can see here we are in a solid weekly uptrend and anticipating a lot of people to buy the dip on this weekly consolidation. The monthly candle does not look great, but based on the size of this candle, I would expect an inside bar on Monday and just tightening range and a potential weekly equilibrium. If we see weakness in SPY next week, MSOS very correlated to SPY. And if we do see weakness, we could see something along these lines with a weekly equilibrium and then a bull break into Safe, potentially. Or we could see a bear break as well. So we'll just have to check in on SPY. If you are buying the dip in Canadian or US cannabis stocks, in my opinion, you need to be watching SPY because it's very, very correlated, especially MSOS. And we did close below the EMA 26 on the daily. Let's take a look at the weekly candle close. So a little bit of a lower wick there. Need to change those daily trends. So it's all about changing the daily trend to uptrends from here. And then we can be confident that the weekly higher lows and lows are set and that we can be expecting more upside. So let's just take a look at I bought some BAM today on the dip. We had support. We had a little bit of support here at 63. And today we got as low as 65. So I added at 66 and 72, added at 72, then again at 66. And that comes after selling back here on this daily inside bar. So I sold when we failed to continue daily continuation on these daily inside bars. I sold, so I had a stop loss set at 93 triggered, and then I'm scaling back in and reloading cheaper. Like I said, not giving bulls the benefit of the doubt, waiting for them to prove to me. And we have lower highs here on the candles for the last like 10 days. So when we finally bounce on the daily, BAM is going to be a huge bounce in my opinion. But we could bounce over 70% and still be just looking for daily lower highs. And no real resistance. So that is a play that I'm entering, and just imagine what would happen if Safe Banking Act got passed and we got got word of BAM potentially, or some of these penny stocks like CXXI uplisting to the NASDAQ. I mean, SNDL's on the NASDAQ and they're only a couple years old and just a small cannabis company. CXXI and BAM are small cannabis companies as well, but they've been around for a while, and their share prices could skyrocket if that happens. So I'm in that for the long haul, and like I said, I'll reload cheaper, but ultimately holding long term. So we'll take a look at some other tickers here. Curaleaf. So Curaleaf was up 2.5%. CL was down over 1%, so that's notable. Monthly doesn't look great on CL either. Curaleaf hasn't consolidated on the monthly since, let's get rid of those lines, 882. So what's going to happen when we see monthly consolidation on Cura? And taking a look at TrueLeaf, no monthly consolidation until $8. Oh man. So that gives you some perspective. When we finally break the low of the previous month, no support, down to $8 on the monthly. Of course, we got some levels on the weekly and the daily, but we could see some volatility pick up. So again, need to be watching SPY going into next week. That's going to be very, very important and crucial. So I think that's pretty much it for Just take a look at CGC on the weekly. So we did lose the 10-week moving average. Stochastic and MACD are trending lower. And let's just take a look at TrueLeave as well. One of the leading MSOs. So it bounced off of its 10-week moving average and closed above. So just holding this weekly uptrend. So weekly uptrends are going to be key going into next month and next week. So that's where we stand. I just want to take a look at SPY, see where we're at in the after hours. And if anybody has any questions, feel free. If you have any tickers, I'll spend a couple minutes here as well, so you can put them into the chat, and I'll happily take a look at that for you. But we did drop below 379 here after hours. So I'll give it a couple minutes in case anybody has any comments, questions, tickers. You can post it in the comments. But SPY slightly lower than where it closed. QQQ slightly higher. And DXY still holding EMA 12. And again, going to be extremely important on this weekly chart if we end up confirming a weekly uptrend. So make sure to monitor the correlations in SPY with crypto and Tesla. Tesla very correlated to crypto, and be sure to keep an eye on crypto this weekend. And we'll check back in on Sunday evening when futures open up. But in my opinion, Bitcoin's showing signs of weakness, and if we see continued weakness over the weekend and then into futures on Sunday evening, that could make for an interesting Monday next week. And again, all eyes on stimulus and some developments, so we could see some updates on that this weekend. They did remove the I think the minimum wage from it as well, so that I think was getting a lot of pushback from Republicans. So I think that the GOP may approve it, and the Senate may approve it because of that. So I see a question. I just joined, but do you think Hive is a good buy right now? Well, I've been averaging in. I bought it. So we have our algo alert. It called a Hive out, I believe. I'd have to check again, but I think it was back at like $2. So the algo liked it from, so right around here, we got an algo alert saying that it liked it, and we recommended averaging in around 2 and 250. And then we got as low as 222. So I started loading up around this area here between 222 and 250, and then I added a bit more when we confirmed this daily uptrend here around $3. So I had an average of around 280, 270, and I had a fairly large position, swing position in that one, and I sold it whenever we got 100%. So when we hit $6, I saw these gaps in the chart. We were getting extended. We were daily overbought, and we were seeing these lower highs and lower lows on the RSI. So we had some bearish RSI divergence. Price was trending higher while the RSI was trending lower, and we had these gaps in the chart, and we had these upper wicks. We broke the previous daily low, which hadn't happened since all the way back down under $3. So I knew to be expecting some serious consolidation as soon as we lost the lows, and then sure enough, we filled the first gap, and we could very well be filling the second gap. We are still in a daily uptrend, so we're watching an equilibrium with a high, low, lower high, trying to form a higher low. So most important support right now is 442 on Hive, and the low of the day today was 452. So we held that. You could consider it a double bottom, But if we lose 442, then that's a lower high and a lower low that confirms a daily downtrend. And if we confirm the daily downtrend, we're likely going to fill this gap here at $4 essentially. But we do have EMA 26 sitting there as well at 417. $4 psychological. We have previous all-time high. Sorry, that wasn't the all-time high. I was thinking of DMGI, I think. Yeah, so previous all-time high, 675, new all-time high sitting up here at 725. So we have earnings on Hive. The projected date, I'll just show you so you guys can get this for yourselves in the future. And this isn't always accurate, so we need to see confirmation from Hive, like the company, whatever company you're looking up, you need to see confirmation from them. Take this with a grain of salt. You can also check TradingView and Earnings Whispers. But it's weird too, it hasn't showed any numbers from the previous quarters. But if we take a look at last year's, they reported on March 3rd. And this one shows here for March 2nd. So that's Tuesday next week. And that also is right around the same as the day they reported last year. So we'll expect March 2nd for now. I haven't seen, let me know in the comments, anybody who's watching or joins in after the fact, if you have the official date or if you've seen anything about confirmation from anyone, third-party coverage, etc., with any earnings forecasts. We'd appreciate it, but I haven't had any luck finding it myself. And like I said, we'll run with March 2nd. So if you are entering Hive or looking to enter Hive on Monday, maybe you want to play off this daily support at 442 with a stop maybe below the gap fill and EMA 26. Maybe you want to scale in. But personally, I'm very bullish on this stock going into earnings. There's rumor going around that I watched a video with their chairman, Frank Holmes, I think his name is, but he's a member of their board, and he runs multiple different companies, and they just upgraded all of their memory chips in all of their Antminers, which should increase their profitability and mining capacity. And also the price of Ethereum has since tripled since their last forecast and their last comment that I've seen. So, and they said back then if the price doubled, and it has since tripled, that they would make an insane amount of money. And like I said, there's rumor going around that their margins, they're making like $300,000 a day or something like that in profit. So we could see a huge beat on that. But the estimate here is 9.7 million. And some little birdies told me that we could potentially see upwards of 15 million or more. So if that were the case, that would be almost double consensus. And the last time, again, I don't know why we don't have the numbers here from previous quarters, but the last time it says they reported, they came in at 6.67 million. So we could see a huge jump. And I'm extremely bullish on them going into earnings. Again, my position, I had a very, very large position at $3, just an average just under $3. When we got to $6, I sold half. So I took out my initial investment and I rode the profits, and then I scaled out a little bit more around $6, and then I scaled out quite a bit more as well at $7. And then I've just been scaling in with those exits. I entered around $5 on the EMA 12, and then we were getting close to EMA 26, so we filled one gap and I entered again. If we fill this other gap, I'll enter again. And this is a position that I'm swinging through earnings. It's a smaller position. Like I said, I sold half my original investment, so now I'm just gambling profits going into earnings. I know it's gambling, but I have my initial investment back and taken out, and now I'm riding profits. And I also sold that profit position above 6 and 7, and I've been able to reload a couple of dollars cheaper. So that's added to my shares, and I even unloaded a bit here on this daily lower high, expecting a daily lower high. How do we know that we were going to pull back and set that daily lower high? We lost the hourly uptrend. So that's whenever I exited, and then I entered a bit more today. And like I said, if we see weakness on Monday and weakness in SPY, weakness in crypto, We could see a gap down on Monday, and we could fill this gap and then go into earnings. That's what I'd like to see, is the most healthy. Come down, test EMA 26, maybe dip below, go stop loss hunting, fill that gap, and then go. And then have killer earnings on Tuesday. And then after that, I'll be getting out of Hive, and I'll be sitting on the sidelines for crypto and blockchain. Right now, my main exposure to crypto is through Hive. So I'm not holding any Ethereum, not holding any Bitcoin. I sold all those when Ethereum was at almost $2,000 and Bitcoin was over 50,000. I can't. What better place to top out the markets with Bitcoin over 50,000, running from 3,000 in March? Like, let's just bring this up so that people can appreciate this for what it is and resonate. So Bitcoin, March, hit a low of 3,858. Not even a year later, $58,000. What do you think's the most likely scenario? Do we just keep going to the moon, or is that how cycles and markets work? Probably not. Nothing goes straight up forever. And I know my dad was saying that there's lots of ads on television now about how to buy Bitcoin directly from your bank account. It just seems like they're trying to sell this to retail. And we've got a couple days left of this monthly candle. And if we were to close here, that's pretty bearish. So what a good time to top the markets out, in my opinion. Again, not calling the top, but if I were a market maker, 50,000 being the target and we shot up to 58, I'll take it. And then we see the pullback potentially. SPY. So let's just get a percentage, a rough percentage here. So Bitcoin has run 1,500% about. So that means if you put $1,000 into it, you would have $15,000 less than a year later. So let's take a look at SPY. SPY, 218 less than a year later, almost 400. So that's almost 100% move. What better time to top out the markets at 50K Bitcoin and 400 SPY? Come down, set monthly higher lows around the EMAs and previous all-time highs, maybe 340, maybe we dip down to 315, 300. Everybody will think the world's ending, but in reality, we'll just be looking for a monthly higher low. And at this point, we're in a monthly uptrend, weekly uptrend, no major red flags, but we need to see follow through from the bears going into next week. So hopefully that answers your questions. Again, you could play off this daily support on Hive. Maybe you wait and see how SPY opens the day on Monday. If SPY gaps down and sees a weak open, maybe you want to try and get this gap fill, or maybe you scale in 3 orders. So if you got $1,000 to invest or to trade, maybe you buy $333 worth here on daily support if we get there, and then maybe another one around EMA 26, and then another $300 on that gap fill. Could also wait for daily oversold if you're really patient, but again, we have earnings coming up on Tuesday, and if you're not bullish as I am, or if you're not sitting in profits and riding profits, then you're at extreme risk, right? And again, I see there's a couple people joining us, so we're pretty much wrapped up, so you'll have to just rewind, and I'll put some descriptions, timestamps in the description below as well. You're very welcome. And Clorox, if you're interested as well, you can check out our website at pursuitofwealthgroup.com or powgroup.ca and check us out for a 1-week free trial. No credit card required, and that'll be ending here at the end of the month, the free trials. So there's only a few days left. You can come check us out for a free week, and like I said, you'll have access to our group. And if you need any assistance, we're a 24/7 community. And we also do private live streams for members, and private requests and video requests and charting, that type of thing. So you can check out the website for more details, but you're welcome. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight. And if you do want any more insight, then check us out. Come join us. Love to have you a part of the group. So hopefully you guys found this information valuable. Like I said, the purpose of this video was to do a bit of a deep dive. So again, Covered all the sectors in one video today, and I know a lot of people were fairly worried going into the end of the day today with good reason, and it's been 3-4 days of solid red, and sometimes people just need to come on and vent and hear another person's opinion. But I know it seems like the SPY is falling, and it is, but we just need to zoom out and remind ourselves that the bigger picture, we're still okay. We're still holding these weekly higher lows, and EMA 12 is going to be a nice visual guide going into next week. So I see there's a couple more questions. Which do you think is better for a long time hold for cannabis? Oh man. Well, it's a pretty, there's a lot of tickers. Obviously, I think there's only going to be a couple though that stand the test of time and make the cut. I don't know. I like Canopy, but I'm not. I think their stock's overvalued in terms of their price to earnings and multiples that they trade at. Personally, Hexo all the way. I really enjoy Hexo. I never liked Hexo until about August to this past summer, and I don't know why I didn't like. I liked them. I remember hearing about them, their partnership back with Molson Coors in the hype into legalization days in Canada. But I never really liked them that much, and I hadn't tried any of their products. They didn't have any beverages. They didn't have any. They didn't have vapes out then. Like, they had no SKUs. And then this summer they came out with vapes hit all the stores across Canada. They bought a smaller, can't remember the name at the moment. They bought another licensed producer, and that added their capacity and gave them access to the West Coast. Then they started penetrating the West Coast. They become number one in the hash category. They were the first to market with the hash category. They were the first to market with the value brand, selling cheap ounces. And there's now stores rebranding. So Nova Cannabis in Alberta is rebranding their entire Nova Cannabis, about 80% of their stores, to be rebranded as Value Buds. And that's what Hexo started, was the value category, and it's since taken off like crazy, and that's evident with the fact that stores are renaming their entire brand as Value Buds. So they were first to market with the hash category, and they quickly dominated that. I love all their products. Their new Up Cannabis, their Cold Creek Kush is fantastic. You got to try that out. And I love all their vapes, their drops, their THC XMG drops. They're water soluble with THC drops. So if their drinks are a little weak, you can buy them. They're on sale today for like $29 for a whole vial or a whole bottle of these drops, and these drops will last like weeks and weeks and weeks. And 2 drops is the equivalent of 1 mg of THC. So it's pretty astonishing. You can just add those to your drinks, and I see people complaining all the time that the drinks are too low, and that's not any fault of their own. That's Health Canada, and they're currently in the midst of reviewing the Cannabis Act to allow more than that to be purchased at one time, and easing of regulations, etc. So in terms of Canadian companies, I really like Hexo. That's what I'm invested in heavily, primarily for the long term. I heard that they have some exciting new products that they're working on with the recent acquisition of Cannabis. It makes them top 3 producer, and they're number 1 in the beverage category. Canopy had a 6-month head start. They released their drinks 6 months ahead of Hexo, and within a couple of quick weeks, Hexo, in a couple months as well, became number 1, outbeat Canopy, and now they're top 3 licensed producer. And Canopy had a 3-year head start from Hexo. So Hexo was like the 12th licensed producer or something in Canada. So Canopy had about a 2 or 3 year head start, and Hexo has now quickly risen in the ranks and is now top 3 in terms of revenue. And in my opinion, they just launched their CBD Veryvel brand in Colorado. I checked that CBD Trust USA website, and they've got a ton of different stores. I expect them to quickly dominate the Colorado hemp market and beverage space. So that's going to be a huge. Just wait until Hexo earnings is all I got to say here, coming at the end of the month, and wait until the following quarter after that. They're anticipating positive EBITDA this earnings report potentially, if not the next one. And then shortly thereafter, they should be positive EPS. And if they become profitable, both in terms of EBITDA and EPS, this stock is, in my opinion, is going to go absolutely berserk. Like, I'm talking berserk, like 33 plus. Because like, imagine we were at, this is post split obviously, so this was divided by 4 back in the day, so like $12 or $11, but, or sorry, it was 33.60 divided by 4, so like $8. Yeah, it was 8.40. It was 12. Yeah, it was the Canadian ticker that was at 12, I think. So, and this was back just off legalization hype. They didn't even have any products across Canada. Their financials were terrible, and this all came. This was all very evident here on this huge waterfall. And then they diluted and raised money, but for good reason. And they were scaling back their operations while like Aurora was buying everybody and their friends. Oh, you got a cannabis facility? We'll buy it from you, right? And then Canada saw very slow rollout and just low sales. Prices were high. The black market was very competitive, and it just took a while for the prices to come down and for that volume to kick in. So I think Hexo is very set up very well. We did close here on the monthly with a huge upper wick and closed below EMA 26. So we'll want to hold EMA 12. But we are breaking, we're in a monthly uptrend, and we're looking to break above these EMAs for the first time since all-time highs. And then we have a lack of resistance on the monthly. So this could be a potential huge cup and handle if we see a huge reaction to earnings here at the end of March. So long answered question, but short version, I really like Hexo. Next, I like APHA. After that, I would say probably CGC. I like VFF as well. But in terms of Canadian companies and LPs, licensed producers, I would say Hexo's my top of the list. And then in terms of US companies, I would say Cureleaf. Cureleaf, I like CL. BAM for a penny stock. I really like BAM. TAT as well, but I'm skeptical of TAT. I don't have any positions in TAT. I haven't tried their products. They manufacture CBD hemp cigarettes, and apparently everybody says they're the best thing since sliced bread, and they're gonna completely dominate the space, and they're a potential buyout target. So I'd be interested in them, maybe down here around $2-3. But MSOS is another safe bet. So it's an ETF that tracks all the major MSOs. So the major companies in the cannabis space in the US. So if you're looking for that, it's also on a major exchange. So you can purchase it in registered accounts like retirement accounts. So that's a possibility as well. All depends what your goal is, right? Are you looking to invest tax-free? Are you looking to invest in a long-term retirement portfolio? You're looking to day trade? What's your situation? So Hexo on the Canadian side, Cureleaf, and MSOS, I would say on the US would be my top ones. So we're going on just over an hour here now. I appreciate everybody who joined us today. Hopefully this deep dive and daily market recap gave you some insight on what to expect going into next week. And if you were surprised by the move today, I consider subscribing to the channel and tick the bell so that you get notified whenever I post videos, because I've been calling this out for the last couple of days. And you can even look at my video title. There was a video called Weakness in Tech, in Big Tech. And from the time that I posted that video, we've just been extremely bearish and weak in the markets. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed, go check us out and subscribe, hit the bell. You'll be notified when I go live, and you can get those call outs and potential signals on what to expect before it happens. Again, we don't have crystal balls, but if you follow technical analysis, the most likely scenario, follow news and events, and if that's too much for you to follow all at once, and it's overwhelming, don't worry. We've all been there. It is extremely overwhelming. And then when you try to factor in crypto into that, it's even more crazy. So we focus primarily on the crypto and the cannabis space, but we also focus on other stocks, commodities, tons of different groups as well. So electric vehicle. So if this all overwhelms you and you're finding yourself, just not being able to, make any good trades, maybe you want to consider checking us out at pursuitofwealthgroup.com or powgroup.ca. Join a community where, again, we don't tell you what to do. We don't recommend financial advice or anything. We just give you, our input on what we would do. And then ultimately the decision is yours. But it's nice to have somebody and a group of people to bounce ideas off of before you hit the buy or sell button. And we've got a wide variety of traders. We've got lots of experienced and disciplined investors, all the way from beginner to medium to complete noob. So check us out, and we do charting and reviews and community support and private videos for members as well. So you can check us out for more information on that. So it doesn't look like we have any more questions going into the end here. And like I said, we're coming on over an hour and 6 minutes now. So we'll wrap things up. So it's been a slice. I had a lot of fun today, had a lot of fun in the markets. And I just want to express my gratitude for the people who support me, both in YouTube, on YouTube, and both in the community. We've got a fantastic group of members, and I'm just having a lot of fun. And I know a lot of people are, taking a look at Twitter and social media. A lot of people are down in the dumps. And if you're not having fun, what's the point, right? So come check us out. Come join our community on a 1-week trial that ends at the end of the month, and come have some fun and come make some money while doing it. So take care, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. Appreciate you. And thank you for your support. We shall see you next week for another daily market recap, and take care.